The rise of Robert Mugabe. Robert Mugabe rises to prominence as a freedom fighter against British colonial rule in Zimbabwe, then known as Rhodesia. Charismatic and determined, he quickly becomes the leader of the Zimbabwe African National Union, ZANU. In 1980, Mugabe is elected as the first Prime Minister of independent Zimbabwe, hailed as a hero of liberation. Mugabe's marriage to Sally Hayfron. Robert Mugabe marries Sally Hayfron, a Ghanaian teacher and his first wife, who becomes Zimbabwe's First Lady. Sally is deeply loved by the Zimbabwean people and is often seen as the moral compass in Mugabe's life. She stands by him during the turbulent early years of independence, earning the affectionate title of Amai, meaning mother, in Shona. The tragic loss of Sally Mugabe. In 1992, Sally Mugabe tragically passes away after battling kidney disease. Her death leaves a void not only in Robert Mugabe's personal life, but also in the heart of the nation. Zimbabwe mourns the loss of its beloved First Lady, and Mugabe is visibly grief-stricken, marking a turning point in his personal and political life. The rise of Grace Mugabe. Shortly after Sally's death, Mugabe begins an affair with his secretary, Grace Marufu, who is more than 40 years his junior. Their relationship quickly becomes public, and in 1996 they marry in a lavish ceremony. Grace, once a reserved figure, begins to emerge as a powerful and controversial presence in Mugabe's life and Zimbabwean politics. Grace Mugabe's influence grows. Grace Mugabe, now the First Lady, begins to wield significant influence over Robert Mugabe and Zimbabwean politics. Her lavish lifestyle and extravagant spending draw criticism from the public, who are struggling with economic hardships. Despite the growing discontent, Grace's power continues to expand, leading many to fear her ambition. Land reforms and controversy. In the early 2000s, Mugabe implements controversial land reforms, seizing white-owned farms and redistributing them to black Zimbabweans. The policy is intended to address historical injustices, but results in economic turmoil and international condemnation. Grace Mugabe's involvement in acquiring prime farmland for personal use further stokes public outrage. Political repression and human rights abuses. As Mugabe's grip on power tightens, his regime becomes increasingly repressive. Political opponents are silenced through intimidation, imprisonment, and violence. Human rights organizations decry the widespread abuses, but Mugabe remains defiant, determined to hold on to power at all costs. Grace Mugabe's bid for power. By the mid-2010s, Grace Mugabe makes a bold bid for political power, positioning herself as a successor to Robert Mugabe. She gains control of the ruling party's Women's League and begins purging rivals. But her aggressive tactics and unchecked ambition alienate key allies, including Mugabe's longtime supporters. Mugabe's downfall. In 2017, the tide turns against Robert Mugabe as the military intervenes, placing him under house arrest. The nation, once united under his leadership, is now celebrating his fall from power. The coup is bloodless, and Mugabe is forced to resign, ending nearly 4 decades of rule. Grace's political aspirations crumble along with her husband's regime. Legacy of Mugabe. After his resignation, Robert Mugabe retreats from public life, leaving behind a complex and controversial legacy. To some, he remains a hero of the liberation struggle. To others, he is a dictator who brought Zimbabwe to its knees. His death in 2019 sparks a mixed response, reflecting the deep divisions he left behind. Grace Mugabe's life after power. After Mugabe's fall, Grace Mugabe retreats into a more private life but remains a controversial figure. Her vast wealth, accumulated during her husband's rule, is a stark reminder of the corruption that plagued Zimbabwe. Although out of power, she continues to be a symbol of the excesses and scandals of the Mugabe era. Zimbabwe's future post-Mugabe, Zimbabwe, now led by Mugabe's former ally, Emmerson Mnangagwa, faces the challenge of rebuilding after decades of Mugabe's rule. The nation is at a crossroads, grappling with economic hardship, political corruption, and the need for true reform. The legacy of Robert and Grace Mugabe looms large, but there is hope for a brighter future. If you enjoyed this trip down memory lane, please like, share, or even subscribe, as there are more videos coming about the African nations and their independence struggles. Thank you.